For this tier list, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Burning mysteries. But we're going to wait until the end of the video because I don't want you to get bored. We're talking about the Berserker. Oh, the Berserker I really like because I have fond memories of this fella from closed beta. I was actually looking at him in closed beta recently, and if you didn't know, he used to stand taller and more upright. I liked that a lot. It made him scarier, and I think his footsteps had a richer, louder sound, and it was a lot scarier even than it already is to hear him running at you. So I am tempted to put him in S just because he was one of the first threats that I was really scared of in this game. Oh, so I'm going to judge each character based on two categories, both gameplay and design, design or aesthetic. It's hard to define those terms. What I mean, gameplay is quite self-explanatory, but design or aesthetic, but yeah, like you'll get the idea based on how I'm describing these things. You'll understand my values. For gameplay, I actually have to put the Berserker at maybe a 6 out of 10. He's not always as responsive to sound as you want him to be. He's a bit buggy sometimes, it's just weird. In theory, I really like the concept of an enemy who's hypersensitive to noise. It just never feels like a really proper chase when you can bait him purely and easily with sound, like you use his design philosophy against him, and it's too easy to do that, in my opinion. But for the first, few hours of gameplay, you don't know that, and he is a force to be reckoned with in the trial, in that sort of manner. Aesthetics though, just absolute peak. The chains and the sounds he makes, and his voice is very deep and scary. Because when you think about that first encounter, when it's supposed to be on Kill the Snitch on a hard difficulty, you go down into the underground parking, and you're only seeing the Berserker for the first time now. You're like, this guy wasn't here, what is that thing? And that, to me, was a crazy effect and experience in closed beta. That was some cinema. That's all incredible. I would say 9 out of 10 or even 10 out of 10. Let's give him a 10 out of 10, but just because the gameplay's not great, I have to bring him down to A. I have to do it. Sorry, buddy. The Night Hunter, another stooped down man. Recurring trend, by the way, when men stoop down or when people stoop down, it makes them less intimidating. Like, it's a bit counterintuitive. We learned this in nature. When you're threatened by like a wild animal, you have to stand up and make yourself very big, or like be a viper or the king cobra or whatever they do and like flare out those skin flaps on the side of your head. The bigger you make yourself, the more scary. So I don't know why all these men are like stooped down, making themselves less frightening. So aesthetic is already way down in the dirt. Not quite, because I'm being uncharitable. I like the Night Hunter. I think it's a shame that we don't get to see his lower face in that much detail or clarity most of the time, because he's in the dark and you see him through the grainy filter of the night vision lens. But if you actually look at his face model, dude, his lower face, what we can see of it, is so messed up with all these like burn marks, or it's all this mangled flesh. It's disgusting and nasty, and his scalp is nothing to write home about either. So he's kind of a gruesome guy. It just hurts to me that a lot of the enemies in the game are the same size as us. I'll be talking about this a lot in the video, but the bigger you are, the scarier, and I'm not gonna stop harping on it. This is the way I see things. I don't know how other people see it. I can't be scared of an enemy that's smaller than me. It's not going to happen. I'm not putting the Night Hunter in D tier, by the way. I'm just fooling around. Gameplay, let's say 7 out of 10 or even 8 out of 10. I like the way that the designers play around the systems in the game, and an enemy that can see you in the dark but can't see you in the light is like, it really clearly defines his weaknesses and strengths, and it encourages you to play smartly. I think they actually made him less blind in the daylight than he used to be, so you can't so foolishly exploit him, which is even better to me. Aesthetics, I would say 7 out of 10. Solid 7 out of 10. Let's go with that. Let's put him in B tier. Impostor. Oh my god. Like, they've improved imposters recently. For the longest time, they're only there for like shock value for your first hour of gameplay, for your first time playing co-op. It's a huge surprise, and then after that initial shock wears off, you know how to deal with him every time. They're very obvious. They're always making the same sound walking towards you, and they walk like NPCs because they are. So it's always an easy tell, but now, with them kind of crouching around and offering you items and acting hurt, it's a lot trickier. Like, we'll still be able to learn in time how to deal with this, but it's a really nice idea, playing into the kind of psychological mind gamesy side of the Outlast franchise. Gameplay, I want to put them at a 9, but the only thing that annoys me, it's not even a problem with the imposters themselves, it's the way the EIGs work. It's like the Xpop insertion gates, the timers they're set on, it almost feels like the imposter's a waste of a slot because they're only there for that one-time threat they stab someone. I think they can maybe stab people more than once, or at least go for more than one stab attempt nowadays, but that one stab is so, like, it can be devastating in desperate situations, but for the most part, you can get stabbed and like shrug it off. Whereas the Pitcher and the Pouncer and the Jaeger, they all have the potential to be more threatening. So just that reduced difficulty aspect of things makes the imposter more boring. Aesthetics, that guy just looks like a reagent. I don't know. Like, the point of the imposter is that you couldn't tell them apart from a reagent, so I guess I'm judging the aesthetics of the reagent. We're not gonna judge him on the aesthetics for this part, just the gameplay. So, you know, what did I say? 6, 7, 8 out of 10? It's all the same to me. He's in B tier. The pitcher. A fan favorite. A lot of people really seem to like this guy. Something I haven't talked about much for aesthetics and design is the voice work, and the pitcher's voice work is peak. With him, you can tell they really leaned into the campiness, the goofiness, the gratuitous over-the-topness of the Outlast trials, and for me, it doesn't work that well. I kind of really wish they did go more straight horror, and when I saw the pitcher in trailers, I thought he would be a bit more ghastly. I thought he'd be like wheezing and coughing all the time just by his appearance, and his voice work would be like very grotesque, more similar or reminiscent to I don't know, the Screamer, you know? Gameplay, dude, when I think of gameplay, all I think of is the pitcher doing that stupid little AoE gas circle that's literally unavoidable and happens when you're like vaulting or trying to juke him, and it's just punishing the player for trying to dodge his attacks, which is what you should do. And if you're playing co-op, there's also a really disgustingly easy way to counterplay him. You and another player can just stand beside each other, and then you comms with each other. You say, okay, whoever gets grabbed, just the other person should just kick him off. And you do that. One person gets grabbed, and it's an instant kick, and the pusher just stands there, and then he runs away. And that's it, you've dealt with the pitcher. Am I saying pitcher the whole time? Guys, I mean the pusher! It's a recurring trend. Aesthetics, I mean he looks super messed up. I love all the nastiness on his body. Why is there a huge bulge on his head? Aesthetics have to be an 8 out of 10 at least. Gameplay is a 5. He's in B tier, another B tier. Ooh, the pusher, the pitcher, the real pitcher, the pitcher, he's not the pusher, or the Pouncer, he's the pitcher. Pitcher was the most recently released specialist. People are thirsting over this guy. I can see it. It's also not entirely clear what his gender is from this model. Remember that all the enemies are classes, so this one pitcher that we see in game is just a representation of all the types of pitchers that there are out there. So there's going to be male pitchers and female pitchers. The gameplay is not that great. I am not a fan of ranged enemies. I'm going to talk about this when we come to Franco, but ever since Nick and Laird in Outlast 2, I've been convinced that, yeah, this does not work in horror for me, and it still doesn't work for me at all, the Outlast trials. No one wants to lane against Vel'Koz. I mean, you can play Leon and flash Q him level 2, but you can't lock in Leon in the Outlast trials, and it kind of feels good to juke his bottle throws, but it's not that easy because they make an AoE splash and it's a bit unpredictable, and Cost Worst had a nice video where you can counter him by like juking back and forth into his fire breath range and pitch range in a weird kind of way. That's not an intended way to fight him, and it's not great. It's like a bit immersion breaking. Gameplay, I might even go as low as 4 out of 10. It is nice that he's a bit more persistent threat in the trial than other specialists. Like, he has 7 or so Molotovs to throw at you, and he actually does chase you quite fast. And it's funny when he runs out of Molotovs, he just starts punching you. He does the elbow shift. The elbow shift is so fast, it does so much damage. He shouldn't even come into the trial with Molotovs. He should have just come in to try and hit you to death with his bare fists. Aesthetics. Man, this guy brings fire to the trial. It actually looks really nice. And I like the scars in his body, and the voice acting is incredible. I wonder if they actually like researched what people sound like when they destroy their own vocal cords, or when they have their vocal cords destroyed, and they try to emulate that. That must have hurt them a lot to mimic that. Very great. Aesthetics have to be a 9 out of 10. The gameplay's a 4 out of 10, and surprisingly, I'm gonna put him in A. There's not gonna be much of a correlation between what the number ratings are and what grade I give them. You'll just have to bear with me, guys. These letter grades are mostly based on vibes. I hope you don't hate me for this. Oh, the Scapegoat? A lot of people don't like this guy. A lot of people groan when the mechanic ends up being reused. Gameplay, I'm actually gonna open up and say the gameplay's a 9 out of 10. I like the Scapegoat guides that people have released. I'm gonna link them in the description. I can't remember who made one, but like there's a lot of nice little intricacies about Scapegoat behavior that you can use to your advantage. And while a lot of tips and tricks in this game feel like you're cheating in the game in a way that wasn't intended, or feels immersion breaking, I kind of like the way you play around the Scapegoat a lot. What with like zapping them, and then letting them run towards the location that you zapped them from, and then bricking them, and then zapping them again, and then knowing what kind of EIGs they come out of, and knowing their spawn locations. That stuff is fun to me, and a lot of other similar stuff in this game isn't fun, so it's weird. Aesthetics, oh, the eyeball drooping out of his socket is just crazy and disturbing, and you look at him and you like feel uncomfortable You feel uncomfortable for him and with him. That's empathy. The voice work, again, is incredible. Is it a given at this point? Is it like moot to just say that all the enemies, every character in this game just has incredible voice acting? All the voice acting in this game is so good except for that one scientist in the Mount Massive ending. Sorry to that guy.
Good luck then. There's almost as much tumor in this scan as gray matter.
The only thing that falls flat for me is his death. Like, the concept of his head exploding, it doesn't even feel that horrific to me. In the frame of the entire Outlast franchise, we're seeing so many horrific deaths and horrific ways people can die that are so much worse than instant death by your head exploding. Worse are the moments leading up to that, of course, because look at him. That guy is suffering. So the head explosion is a mercy. It sounds like it hurts when he gets the little shiny light bulbs on his head microwaved. That sounds like it hurts. I don't know how painful it is. It's hard to judge. So design or aesthetic is about an 8 out of 10. And yet, we're putting him in B tier. Because he is just an objective enemy after all. That's something I can't neglect to mention. He's not a kind of presence, right? That guy is a victim. He doesn't really count as an enemy, but he does damage you and it can be annoying. Dude, he hits so hard. So I had to include him here. The Screamer. Oh man. A quick gameplay? 4 out of 10. No, even 3 out of 10. So disappointing in gameplay, but the aesthetics and the design are 10 out of 10. I almost want to put him in A tier. We're not going to do it. Who was around from enclosed beta when the Screamer would stun you when you activated him. He would stun you when your screen would shake and you couldn't move and you couldn't do anything and enemies would just hit you for free for fun. And there were 2 Screamers on the way to the security room in the police station, and you actually had to like map out how you're gonna play every moment of that segment, which I really liked, but it was too OP. Oh, I wish they would release a variator for that old Screamer mode, where it's like enraged Screamers or something, and instead of just making you put your hands on your head and you can't, the visual distortion is crazy, I wish they would stun you again, or at least give you a movement speed slow. I guess there is currently a movement speed slow, because like for the first few moments of activating a Screamer, you can't sprint anymore and you can't jump, but when he screams, it's really a non-issue. In closed beta, when he used to stun you, you also used to always be afraid of making too much noise going into a room you haven't explored yet, because you didn't know if a Screamer was going to be in there, and you didn't know if an enemy was just going to happen to walk on you and you lose 3 bars of your HP, because you can't move. But yeah, currently Screamer, hardly a threat at all. Maybe that's a really low elo take. You read this guy's lore, this guy is also suffering immensely. I like it a lot. He just looks like he's having not such a bad time. He's so grimy. He's so grimy. I'm also disappointed that in one of the earliest trailers, it looked like when you activate him and he starts screaming, he would turn into a guy who chases you at super fast speeds and like beats you up afterwards. That's another variator I want. I want a variator that turns the Screamers violent. I know that they can kind of smack you pathetically when you walk in their running path, but that's totally incidental. I want them to go after you with intent like a real chaser. They scream and you activate them as a true chaser. That would, to me, make them a great gameplay threat. I would kind of love that sort of change. I want to put this guy in A. I like him. Did I say I wasn't? Oh, Pouncer. She's indeed. I need to make an F tier just for her. Yeah, you're in there. All jokes aside, gameplay wise, she does add a nice element, being cautious around the environment. So I would legitimately, honestly put her in B tier. No, she's an F tier. So yeah, the gameplay wise, maybe a 6, 7 out of 10. Just adds another element in the game to play around, adds some richness. Aesthetics wise, she looks horrible. She looks so messed up. Dude, her skin is like so gray, and I don't know how to describe it, but my headcanon, when I first saw her, like the way she looks, it felt to me like she was tortured by having sections of her skin peeled off and then sewn back on. That's what it looked like to me. Her voice work reflects such deep pain and trauma that you do feel bad for her. But then you play the game and you don't. Hey man! Oh, we're gonna do this with the Skinnerman and Henrietta, basically, where they have 2 different forms. And Skinnerman, I'm comparing the old form. Oh my god, man, this guy was so pathetic. This guy used to be so pathetic. Does it even need talking about? People used to call him like Ghost Rider or whatever that guy was called. Who is that? Yeah, that's him. He would kind of walk at you, and full psychosis, back when this guy existed, full psychosis was a buff because other enemies could not attack you while you were in it. So the Skinnerman became the only threat, And he walks slow and he does super slow DPS, so you can just tank him while doing an objective in his face. Nowadays, enemies still can't attack you unless the extreme psychosis is activated in the trial, or like you're in psychosurgery. I think those are the same thing, or is that ultra? I don't know. So yeah, this guy's design is like a 2 out of 10, honestly. And his gameplay is like a 2 out of 10. But the new Skinnerman, oh, we're getting up there. I almost went up. B or A, B or A. Let's be charitable. Let's put him in A. I don't know if you can tell if you look close enough at him to tell, but he kind of has like 2 faces layered on top of one another. It's great, the idea that he's evolving and morphing into a more grotesque form. Yeah, man, that design, that aesthetic is like, I'm gonna say 10 out of 10 on that. Gameplay is still at a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's nice. The hiding spot jump scares are really nice. You get used to all the kind of random jump scares in the game, but these ones are a bit hard to get over, especially when, like, if you're a good player, you won't use hide spots often, and then when you're forced to, like during toxic shock or whatever, you might forget that these jump scares exist, and like the bad trip variator is active or something, and that'll get you. It's very nice, and there's so many unique hide spots, and for each unique hiding spot that exists, the Skinnerman has a unique jump scare. Like, I didn't even know what it looks like to get jump scared by the Skinnerman when you hide under a bed, and he like comes out of the juncture where the floor and wall meet or something. Like, man, his face just appeared from there. That was cool to me. I didn't expect it at all. And like, you kind of scream a little bit. It's nice. As we get to the grunts, there's a bunch of different grunt models. So what I'll do is, because there's only 4 big grunt models, I'm gonna go over each of them uniquely. But there's like 16 or something small grunt models, and I'll include them all in like a big package as civilian grunts and hard grunts and idle grunts. But I'll point out the notable models. So with the big grunts, we have Barbara, as Nick Carlson Press likes to call her. Her name is Jumb to me, if you didn't know. She's quite nice. Oh, is she an S tier? Ooh, she's a high A. We'll put her all the way on this side. Oh, aesthetics. Just say 10 out of 10, man. Just say it. No, 9 out of 10, because the 10 needs to be reserved for other stuff. Same with the new Skinnerman. The new Skinnerman's 9 out of 10. He's devoted. Barbara Jumb is 9 out of 10. The afro is really well modeled. I like that this little part in here reveals some lobotomy scars. And like her kind of terrible bandaged up face and mask and her lips. I think they're a bit peeled away. She's very reminiscent of Nick from Outlast 2, not Nick Carlson Press. I also like that she has a variable model. Like, sometimes you'll see her, she's wearing these tattered blue garments. They're almost like nurse, hospital, patient garments. What am I saying? But sometimes she's like fully naked, almost. Her prosthetic leg is quite nice and gnarly. It doesn't seem to be very realistic to me though. It's weird. I can't tell if the amputation happened below or above the knee. It almost seems like it's at the knee joint, which isn't really a thing. I think it's below the knee. She's already so messed up from all the other bodily trauma that's going on that I would be hard-pressed to believe. Her voice work is really nice. The female Big Grunts both share the same voice actor, and sometimes you'll get like gazebo affected into thinking that they're different voice actors, but no, they only have one voice. Gameplay, I mean, I can't really say the gameplay is different among all the Big Grunts, so gameplay, I'll say 8 out of 10. Aw, man, all the big grunts, just being big is good. Please, we need more big enemies. That's all there needs to be in the game. You need to be bigger than me or I'm not scared of you. Oh, I love her. She's an S tier. I can't say more, bro. Her name is Darin. Collapsed head is just a great touch. The porcelain shards covering her face and her lips is also a great touch. It's hard to see unless you look at her closely. The mastectomy scars, I think C-section scars. A lot of details on the expat bodies leaves you wondering what happened to them and what Murkoff did to them. And we don't always get an explanation, which I really like. And she's got a great build. She's quite muscular. When she's lumbering after you, you're scared. I'm scared. She was released October 26, 2023 with a courthouse update alongside her female companion. It's so crazy. Like, how can I talk about this? Gameplay, did I say 8 or 9 out of 10 for all the big grunts? Oh, the aesthetics and the design are like 9.5 out of 10. It's my first time going to 0.5. Dude, I don't like out of 10 scales. I talked about this before. Go out of 100, because you always want to go for the decimal point, but at that point, just make it a clean number. Make it like 97 out of 100 or something, instead of 9.7. It's so stupid. I ruined my own life, guys. Hey Danny, what's up? I know someone's gonna hate me if I don't put an S tier. Danny's an A tier. Oh, throw Brian in there just for good measure. Or I mean, Nongshim Noodle, Soup 4.85 stars out of 5, 2.3k user reviews. While we're at it, these guys are both classics. Oh, yeah. Brian almost goes in S tier. Nongshim Cup Noodle Soup, 4.8 stars out of 5, 2.3k user reviews. Dude, because he was the basis for the very first enemy we see in the very first teaser trailer for the Outlast trials. Dude, he's still got like metal nodules in his head. Why are those there? And he's just so creepy. He's so creepy to look at. If he grabs you out of a hiding spot, It probably feels the worst out of any enemy in the game. What a sense of dread. When their brains fail them and they regress to their childish mode, some of their voice lines are so frightening. Like when they go monosyllabic speech mode, I'm actually scared. I don't want them to touch me. I'm talking about them both, because in my mind, they're kind of the same. Danny's hair is just a great touch. His really shaggy hair. Oh man, I almost want to put Danny in S tier, but then I won't be hated, but I like Brian more. I want to say more, but like a lot of this just comes from them being big. Them being big is so awesome to me. They're supposed to be slow by design. That's the trade-off, right? For like doing more damage and whatever, and just overall being more imposing. They're supposed to be slower than like the normal sized grunts as a trade-off, but when you get to the high difficulties, they chase you so fast in that kind of lumbering run animation, which is very frightening to look at. I think it being unexpected plays into the horror a bit more and makes it even better. That's just mwah. Think about these sorts of things in your lifetime. Okay, let's go civilian grunts. We'll get Anthony to represent us. A tier. Guys, are you mad that I'm like completely failing the idea of a tier list? Basically everything is in the same tier, and I haven't used the C tier at all. We'll get there eventually. Civilian grunts are cool. The fact that they're so varied makes them so high up, so otherwise they'd be in B tier. They have all these different outfits and face models, and it makes them really nice. So flavorful. Gameplay, what can you say? Very standard. They're just your standard enemies. They're the variants. They're the cultists equivalent for Outlast 1 and 2. Gameplay, design, clean, 75 out of 100. 7.5 out of 10. Let's talk about some notable fellas though. Among the civilian grunts, well, I quite like Frederick for having hair. I quite like him for having that metal implant in his scalp. He's a nice one. He's really nice. Chang'e is like, look at that. I'm kind of sick of bald, handsome men. They're like so boring. So those guys are going to be in C tier after all. But oh, what's his name? Anyinsa Tornashu, you're in S tier. No. Because S tier, we're gatekeeping, guys. Sorry, Anyinsa, but he's so cool. He might as well be Chris Pratt, bruh. Look at that metal cap. Look at the way his eyeballs held open and all milky and ruined, and he's got the metal nasal strip. Breathe right. Oh, I love his design. I love that he gets killed by Coyle in that first cutscene. Jhuia'auenne has nice bird goggles. She would be B tier. Jhuia'auenne has such a meatball head. We're not going to talk about Jhuia'auenne because he's supposed to represent the idle grunts. Actually, that's what I decided. So we're going to go to the hard grunts here. Oh, Wilhelm is so unique and beautiful. That man is in S tier. They're not all hard grunts specifically, but this guy's aesthetic. Crank it up to 11 out of 10. He broke the sound barrier. Spaghetti mouth, drooping eyeball. These kind of ideas that they're implementing, like he's so faithful to the concept art that Hugo Richard made from so long back, it's just mind-blowing to me. What can I talk about? Why'd they put this spaghetti in his mouth? What is Murkoff doing? And you have to wonder this. And that's so alluring to the mind. That's so captivating to me. I look at him and it's so beautiful. And they made it more beautiful because he can't speak properly nowadays. I'm so glad they patched that. That was a long time patch ago, but it was so funny when he could speak. I'm like, how are you talking, bro? You got spaghetti in your mouth. And the machete weapon's interesting. I don't even know what that is. What is that weapon, by the way, for the hard grunts? So general hard grunt is a design 9 out of 10. And the gameplay is the same. Standard grunt, expected stuff, 75 out of 100 for these guys. But oh man, the aesthetic just carries it. They're wearing like baseball umpire type armor, which I couldn't pinpoint what their armor is actually supposed to be based on, but someone said that recently. Oh, that seems about right. Very American of you. I like that this game makes horror of the Americana kind of vibe. So nice to me. That would put Sardine, Delandrist, and Cloder. I got their name. This one's Delandrist. Sardine and Cloder are here. I like them. I like them a lot. They're in A tier alongside Jonathan. Do I like Bianca? I actually like Bianca. I need to put her in A tier alongside Anyinsa Tornashu, because the way her nose is like, the tip of her nose is cut off is so weird to me. Same with Yobel. Yobel's head shape carries her design, because she wouldn't be so scary. Her being bald and having that kind of like potato head shape makes her much scarier. I'm sorry if she's insecure about that, having a potato head shape, but I like it. Jhuia'auenne Idle Grunts, we're going S tier. We can do it! We can't do it. We actually have to go C tier. Because the idle grunts, I have a lot of thoughts on them. There's one of the enemies I'm most interested in the whole game for zero reason. But compared to what Red Barrels did with idle grunt equivalents in the previous games, the idle grunts are falling short. See, here's the thing, right? From concept, if you've only played the Outlast trials, you walk into a trial, beginning opening era, you see these guys just hang around, and you know that they don't do anything to you unless you get close to them. That's it. Then you throw something at them and they run away for good and they're gone. I have explained their entire concept completely in like a couple sentences. But when you played the first Outlast games, there would be just these vagrants walking around, or these patients, and like they would kind of behave in the same way. They would mumble at you and they would tweak out, kind of be on their own, doing their own thing. But then you walk past one of them and they start following you. and maybe they start chasing you, and now you're under threat. And there was that unpredictability that this introduced, where you didn't know who was safe to walk past and who was actually going to turn into a threat. And that's what the idle grunts lack. They're way, way, way too predictable. And they only appear in the beginning section of the game. Come on, man. Recently, they're starting to add more uses for them. Like, you'll see them throughout the trial rather than just in the very beginning. And they put them in interesting spots. We saw this in Liquidate the Union. And they have more interesting animations. Like, I like when they're threatening to beat up a mannequin they're talking to. Those are cool details. But these cool details are, for a large part, void of substance, I want to say. So, design aesthetic. I like all their different face models. You can look at a lot of them. They all look messed up in different ways. I would say 8 out of 10. Just their clothing is quite basic. It's supposed to be basic. 8 out of 10 for design aesthetic, and then the gameplay is like a 3, man. We gotta ramp that up. We gotta use them more. We gotta make some of them attack us in interesting ways and come after us, really, under interesting circumstances. They do have some weird behaviors. I want to talk about this. I think it's most notable on Gather the Children of God, and it applies to most other trials too. When you complete certain objectives or move through certain parts of the area, the idle grunts are scripted to either move or leave the trial in weird ways. Like, every time you deliver a kid, I think, in Gather the Children of God, they will change their spot where they're sitting in the orphanage foyer lobby, and they'll move to a different position for like no reason. You can catch them mid-walk on their way to a new seat, and it's kind of funny, it's kind of cute. I like that. I like these inexplicable behaviors. Just please, you've got to make your enemies more unpredictable. That's what contributes to the horror. Once you've pegged exactly what a guy's gonna do, you lose a lot of the fear factor. That is a little bit sad to me. Oh, I don't know if you knew this is intentional or not, but it is. We're saving the best for last. We're actually going to talk... it's fine. We'll talk about the Jaeger or Henrietta. Slam it. We're here. Slam it. We're here. Let's talk about Henrietta first. Design 9 out of 10. Gameplay 5 out of 10. She has the exact same gameplay as all the other Big Grunts, which was disappointing to me, but understandable. So that's why it's just a 5 out of 10. It's about the context, you know? Why is she S when these are like normal numbers? Because of her role in the game and the story. Am I stupid for caring about these things? No. I reject your cynicism. She was so cinematically introduced and placed in the escape ending where we find her. I missed the escape ending, and I'm sad it was only there for 14 days because I want to play it again. And I know other people do too. You come across her, she was chewing. That reagent says something like that because she was chewing on a human head, and you see her surrounded. She's literally in hell. It's like it was from out of Silent. It was like out of an environment from Silent Hill. I'm even speaking English because like, I can't, man. It becomes really hard to remember that she's actually a human being when you see her in those circumstances. My brain really appreciates that, and it's like tickled to think about that she's still a human being. And when I see what she's become, what Murkoff has made of her, why is her chest so big? What's in there, man? I wonder if it's like hard to breathe. There's a baby doll nestled in like the little cloth strapped around her waist. Another detail that's yet unexplained, but it's quite nice. She has extra blue eyes, and she's actually still quite beautiful. She is a beautiful lady. I already have a Wi-Fi adore. I can't even speak anymore, guys. Like, you don't understand. I have never... okay, it's fine. Now, that's why the Jaeger's in S+, because, like, everything is true and even more true here. Guys, I don't know. The thing is, I have never thirsted for an Outlast character before. And I'm not going to start today. I understand. Well, let's say I understand what other people are feeling. When people are making, like, thirst posts for the pusher, that's weird to me. Or Franco? Guys, what are you doing? I'm judging you all. What is going on? Look at the people in the world. Look at the characters that have been created in media nowadays. You're going after the pusher and Franco. Yeah, just lie to my face, I guess. The Jaeger's so beautiful. And she's big. And she's tall. She's gotta be like, oh my gosh, she's gotta be like 7'8". I'm making numbers up. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 on all fronts. What are we saying, man? Chase music's really nice. I talked about this. It's not an overwhelming type of chase theme. Kind of like a build of slow dread, which is in theme for how slowly she walks at you. If you don't know she one-shots you, as I didn't, and then she does pick you up and one-shot you, that has amazing impact. For the first time, you realize what a threat she really is, because you almost want to laugh at her. She walks so slow. Even on solo, you think you can outmaneuver her. But all it takes is getting grabbed one time, getting cornered in a bad situation. And that increases the threat a lot. A lot of people don't like the Jaeger. Guess what? I don't like you. I saved the prime assets for last. Coyle is... he's just in S tier. Or he's not even in S tier for me. He's an A tier. And let me say it again. Coyle would be an S tier if he didn't crouch over and stoop and lose 3 inches of height based off his posture alone. This guy has to be joking. He has incredible charisma. He has great voice lines and great characterizations. And his wives are probably happy they got to marry him. I can't say that. It's just a shame to me that he's kind of still a handsome man despite the facial scarring, so, you know, he's another bald handsome man, by the way. I'm just gonna repeat the voice line. I'm sick of bald handsome men. They're not scary. But hey man, what he makes up for in lack of scariness is he has so much style. Now I can see why people thirst for this man. He does have that prime asset charisma and allure. The concept of a shock baton in the 1950s is pretty interesting as well, like technologically. I don't know if that's possible. He's got a Pontiac battery strapped to him, which I guess makes him crouch over. Yeah, I'll concede that, man. That thing is scary. It adds a nice touch in the darkness of like the underground garage or whatever area he happens to be patrolling. That blue light adds a lot visually. But I just can't say he's really scary is the thing, right? So he won't go higher than A tier. And stop crouching, man. The faster he runs, the better. I know I made a couple Coyle speed comparison videos, and yeah, when he's bolting at you, you get the sense that he's a threat. This guy is a trained police officer. He's grid searching every inch, and he's gonna actually keep up with you even when you have stamina booster. That will be nice, and that's what's also true about Gooseberry, who's so fast, and because of her size, you don't expect it, which I've also talked about, which is a great boon. And Gooseberry, like lizard screaming at you when you hear it for the first time, activates some pretty primal survival instincts that you probably didn't know you had, and makes her an incredible force to be reckoned with. The sound of the Futterman drill going off as she's patrolling, in theory, sounds like a really nice, frightening concept, but isn't actually that scary. Maybe if you're playing the Outlast Trials in real life and you're scared you're gonna get your mouth drilled open, then her frightening potential rises much higher. But hearing the drill in game doesn't do much to me. It doesn't do as much for me as hearing Franco Manera's saw going off in Outlast Whistleblower did. That's just occurring to me now, actually. I feel like they're trying to recreate that sort of installation of fear, but I don't feel that too much from Futterman. The split personality thing is really nice. Like, design aesthetic, oh, 10 out of 10. It would be 11 out of 10 to me if they kept Gooseberry's old design that we saw from one of the very old gameplay trailers. It's just, her skin mask, it's a different model. It has a lot more of this uncanny valley kind of feel. You can't really see her eyes so clearly, and it's just like, it gives me vibes from scary stories to tell in the dark, that sort of thing, right? I think that actually looked a lot better than what we got today, unfortunately. But that says a lot because her current design is still so incredible. It's hard to go up from here. Good. Franco. Oh, look at that guy, man. I said it. Everything I've said in this video before leads up to me putting him in C tier, and he's a prime asset, and it's just, I know a lot of people like him, but I personally was disappointed, and you can fight me. Ranged enemies are not scary, and short enemies are not scary. The silver lining, I guess, is that when he was hyped, we knew he was going to be like the kind of baby man, the baby archetype of the nuclear family. So I was scared I was going to be chased around by a guy who's 3'5". I can't be scared of that. Now he's 5'7". I can't be scared of that still, but it's better than 3'5". Design, he's a bit dapper. When you look at the concept art, I liked the concept art a lot more than what we got. How he had this kind of super disproportionate body, but I think it just wasn't realistic to create within the constraints of modeling. Modelers, the 3D modelers in this game have to go through to make things like work with animation mapping and whatnot, so they couldn't make his head half the size of his body, unfortunately. I wish they would cover him in more green stains though. I think just detail-wise he should be a lot more unpleasant to look at. Like, you should look at him and know he reeks of like sour milk and vomit. You know he smells bad, but we should know he smells worse, because he does. Man, his shotgun is more frustrating than scary, which is always a very delicate design thing, I know, for the team. And for me, they did not succeed on this one. He is always frustrating and never scary. But his voice lines are always fun to listen to. What they did with Frank was like what they did with the Pusher, right? Where they tried to lean into the campiness of the Outlast Trials, and it doesn't work for me. Please try to be genuinely scary. That's my angle on it. If they don't want to go that direction, I understand. It might be a gender thing also. There's a lot of gendered horror in Outlast, and because I am not a woman, I've heard lots of women talk about how they personally find Franco a lot scarier than the others, same with like Coyle, for those sorts of reasons, which I understand and can appreciate. Which is why Eddie Gluskin was so scary to men. I mean, I don't see it too much. I guess I see it. Outlast is so cool to me. Sorry, Jonathan, Hitomi, and Bran. I've literally left you guys in the dark. But they're like bald, handsome men as well, so I had to neglect them. Let's just throw them in A tier as well, alongside their fellow companion. Oh, but that like makes Frederick, that disappreciates these kind of fellows. How can I love all my children equally in this lifetime? Oh, Hitomi has the head ridges, which I quite like. Does that put him above or below Yobel? It puts him even above Bianca, it does. And his face still makes me strange to this day. You don't see that guy often. Guys, thanks for watching. I think it's a pretty balanced tier list. Yo, Franco, you're actually going in D tier. I decided. Now it looks like a very balanced tier list if you ignore the fact that A tier is just super inflated. It's because of the Grunts, by the way. Well, I swear someone else should go in S tier, but I can't think that hard right now. No, it's reserved for the Jaeger, my baby. So when you scroll to the top of this tier list, I haven't logged in. Like, I could fix this more cleanly and more easily if I made an account. I'm not making a tier maker account. For some reason, the person who made this tier list, who is not me, put duplicates of every single image in here, and like a bunch of mannequins that I don't want to judge or describe at all. They put two different images of Danny as if they're completely different characters. Like, yeah, do nothing but step back. I don't know what we're thinking exactly. And then they neglected to put in the female Big Grunt who I had to add. I also had to add the Jaeger and Henrietta. And Pusher, sorry. The Pouncer, the Screamer, and the Impostor, I had to add those. I mean, some people might have been fooled because the interesting thing about this tier list that I stumbled across online is that I didn't make it. And all these images of the grunts and the hard grunts and whatnot, they come from my video that I made describing all the grunt models in the game. And now some random fella online has just made this tier list using my images from the video, which is in turn helping me to make this video today. Look at how the world goes around in some sort of circles. This tier list also came out in January, which is why I had to add the Jaeger, which if you want to do this tier list yourself, of course, you can. I'm going to link it in the description below, but you'll have to add the images of the enemies that I just told you about, right?
Taking a hold on me.